With me now to talk a little bit more about this is Alex Nowrasteh. He is Director of Immigration Studies at the Cato Institute Center for Global Liberty and Prosperity. Mark Morgan also went on to say, the migrants crossing the border down in the month of August by more than 20%, pointing to the Trump administration as the success of the administration. Of course, you hear from Mexico saying, look, we put the National Guardsmen up there at the border. Who should be taking credit?
Well, I think both need to take some credit, but there are other factors that are also influencing this. For instance, the coffee price in Central America, which is highly correlated with agricultural employment down there in the Northern Triangle, has also rebounded a bit. It's also typical during the southern month, these numbers go down anyway. So what we're seeing is definitely these policies are having an effect, but it can't claim 100% of the credit.
So he had this meeting today with the Vice President of the United States, Secretary of State. No attaboy, still more pressure, you got to do more. Where do you see this going? This tension, this friction we've been watching for some time now.
Well, I think we have a dangerous situation in a way. We have with the president two policies that he likes to use here. One is immigration barriers. The other is threatening tariffs like he did before. So that could be the next step. He generally likes both of those, so he doesn't need much of an excuse to put them on. But so far, Mexico has acquiesced. Mexico has given him a lot of the policies that he wants in terms of extra immigration enforcement, stopping the folks who are coming from Central America. I suspect that they will continue to do more. They'll drag their feet, of course. They don't want to seem like they're, a toady of the Trump administration. But I think these talks are going to continue for the rest of the Trump administration, frankly. This is a big topic for him.
It's interesting, though, in Roe's report, there's so much reporting here in the West, in the United States especially, about migrants coming into the United States, this kind of this march. And yet not much reporting about the weapons going south, something that the foreign minister brought up. Why is that?
Well, I think the answer is the United States government and American, viewers of the news and consumers of news are more interested about what happens in the United States than they are about what's going on in Mexico or a lot of these other countries. I mean, the drug war in Mexico and Central America has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives over the last several years. It is brutal. I would put more of the blame on America's drug prohibition policies, or support of these horrendous policies down there, rather than the gun policies that we have. But I think the United States can do a lot to try to help that. One of them would be trying to legalize some of the drugs down there.
Let me ask you about this. There's this new poll out this week. I'm sure you saw it. It shows the divide here in the United States when it comes to this issue. The Chicago Council on Global Affairs releasing the results yesterday. 78% of Republicans see large number of immigrants coming to the United States as a critical threat to this country. It's rather ironic. This is much higher than terrorism, and we're just a day or so away from the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks here in the United States. 19% of Democrats see it that way. Talk to me about this divide.
This is just the partisan divide in this country attaching to these specific issues. If we had a Democratic president saying that immigration is a big problem, this is a crisis, we need to stop it, I guarantee those numbers would be reversed. I don't think much of the divide in politics today is ideological. I don't think voters have a specific ideology and they're pushing for it. I think a lot of it is just rallying behind their political tribe. So if President Trump says something, Democrats are against it. If President Trump was a Democrat, Republicans would be against it. We saw the same thing under Obama, but just reversed. But immigration is one of these issues. It's been growing for years. It's affecting all developed countries throughout the world. And I expect, frankly, the partisan divide on this issue to grow worse in the future because it elicits such strong emotions.
But you've worked on this for some time. What's it going to take to kind of, I know you say it's going to get worse, but what could happen where you could see both sides coming together and saying, at least we can agree on this, and kind of maybe enlarge the circle, if you will?
Well, that's a $64,000 question. If you had an answer to that, I'd love to hear it. But I'll tell you what I think a few preconditions that need to occur is you have to have some agreement about what the problem is. The problem is we have a large number of illegal immigrants in the United States and at the border. And another part of that problem is it's way too hard to come to this country legally, and that those two issues are linked. So if we got to solve this problem, it's got to find a way to make these folks who are here illegally lawful in some way, give them green cards or work permits, and to expand legal immigration. And until we have an agreement about that, it doesn't matter if there's a kumbaya moment. It's not going to solve it.
Alex, always a delight seeing you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.